trust says on the bill, from boom to bust, may give a thrill, it can steal your life, dominate your goals, make a trouble and strife.
Hi there, Johnny here from JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk, and welcome to episode number 10. Yes, we've made it to the very, very end, folks. Episode number 10 of the Paper Deity mixing series. And in today's video, we're going to master this puppy. Last week, we compared the 2019 and 2016 mixes, and I'm sure you will have noticed that I just said there were. That's weird. There were a number of differences in the between the two mixes. I would suggest, and I think I said this in the video as well, that the 2016 mix is probably quite considerably darker than the 2019 mix, which is of interest to note. And I think I explained part of the reasons for that. I think some of that was to do with the room that I was in at the time. And I think that room just had some low mids build up. And also, I think the mic that I used for pretty much all of the vocals had some low mids build up as well. So probably those two are the big contributory factors to that. So there you go. Mic choice, very important. And the room that you're in, how you treat that room is very important. And it may well be that I just completely overlooked the 400 kind of area in that room that I used to be in. But in this room, there are much different issues. So anyway, we're going to master this puppy today. So I have not even started with that. I don't even have the project page open or anything like that. I've not created this project, so I'm going to show you how to do that, just in case you don't know how to do it. Here's the beauty of Studio One, the professional version, is that the mastering page is fully integrated with the song page. They are kind of symbiotic. And what I mean by that is that when you are working on a song and you do kind of like the mix down, which I'm going to show you in just a minute, to get it over into the project page, and let's say you're mastering away in the project page and you decide, you know what? That tremolo guitar is just still a tiny bit too loud. Well, the good news is, unlike other DAWs, you can go back to the song page, you can turn down that guitar that's a little bit loud, you can pull it back until you're absolutely happy with it, and then you can go back to the project page, you can hit the little wrench, and it'll update the mastering file with the changes that you've made. You don't have to go back and start all over again and re-import and everything else. In other DAWs, it's very clumsy. But here in Studio One, it's actually so easy. So we're going to get into this and we're going to enjoy this today. All right, so here we go. This is how you do it. So we are happy with this mix. Let's just have a quick listen. And just to be sure that we're absolutely happy with this and we don't want to make any tiny little adjustments. And if we are happy with it, so we'll listen to about 10-15 seconds of this, and then we're going to get this across into the project page. Here we go.
Flashes past the window on the 13th floor. One more sad life crashes, broken by the yearn for more and more. Another spin of the wheel, roll off the dice or ace on the turn. Beg, borrow, or steal, or trade your soul for bands to burn. In God we trust, says on the bill, from boom to bust, may give a thrill, it can steal your life.
Alright, I think we'll stop it there. Kind of that's the first verse and half the chorus, and I'm pretty happy with how that sounds. I think that's good enough that we can just bump it across to mastering, and if in the process of mastering we uncover any other issues, then we can just go back and tweak it. It's fine, and then we should be all done. Okay, so here's how we get it into the project page. We go over to file. I'm just going to quickly do save so that we have a completely up-to-date version of this song. And then I'm going to go to song. And here's the cool bit. I'm going to go to add to project. And I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to click over here. And then this is going to be the project title. So project Paper Deity Mixing Series. I don't think I need the V2 at the end there. I don't know why. I don't even know why that's there. I've only just noticed that it's there. 10 episodes and I've only just noticed that that's there. Oh well. Okay, let's just do OK. And it's asking to update the mastering file because we've created the project page. And so we're all set to go. I just need to do OK and then let it do its thing. Here we go. And you can probably hear my fade going a little bit crazy. And we just have to wait for this thing to do its thing. It's going to take about 12 seconds or so. Oh, maybe a little bit longer than that. 45 seconds. So whilst this is doing its thing, hopefully it's not affecting the audio as I talk to you. That'll be a pain if it's doing that. I'll have to review this afterwards. But hopefully this is not glitching out the audio. But whilst this is doing, it's only got about 20 seconds to go. And once this is finished, the song will be completely in the project page as a track mastering file. And we will be ready to EQ and compress and limit and all of that fun stuff with our master and get this polished, ready for a digital release. And we are done. It's now telling me that it took 1 minute and 8 seconds. Okay, so we do OK. And here we are. It's done. And so I can zoom this out so you can all see what this looks like. That's probably a little bit too much. There we go. And the cool thing is we can change the color of this. So if we don't like this blue, I can make it, yeah, okay, let's make it that color. Kind of greenish kind of color. Now, what we're going to do is in the course of this mastering, we are going to EQ, we are going to compress probably, and we are going to bring it up to its final level for a digital release. And we're also going to deal with this ending, because if you remember, it ends like this. We don't want that. We want it to do kind of a nice fade out kind of over here somewhere. Yeah, so somewhere around there, we probably wanted to do a nice fade out. So what we'll do is we'll move that over like that. And we'll have ourselves a little fade out. And we just need to decide how long that fade out is going to be. Yeah, that might be a little bit too soon. So I'm going to pull that out just a little bit more. Okay, still not entirely entirely happy with that. So I'm going to bend that curve a little bit so it's a bit more of a curve rather than a straight line. Let's try that. In fact, I'm just going to stretch it out just a hair more. Try and keep the start of the fade out at the same spot. Almost there. Maybe I'll pull that down just a little bit more. Yeah, I want it to be a little bit more subtle than that. Yeah, we're getting there with that fade out. This is the fun part of mastering, is kind of getting these things absolutely right, how you want them. It can be a little bit tedious. Okay, I'm going to give this one last bash, and then we'll move on and we'll get to the rest of the mastering. Alright, so we'll leave that as that at the moment, and we'll maybe revisit this fade out once we've got a little bit further down the road with the master. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to get roughly to the middle of the song, and we want to bring this level up to round about, I would say maybe the -4, -5 peak kind of area. So round about this kind of area here. That's the first thing I want to do. And then after that, I'm going to get into the EQ, the compression, and the final thing that I'll do will be limiting. So let's just turn this up a little bit. Let's have a look at what the levels are at the moment.
Still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's cross? In God we trust. Says on the bill. From boom to bust. Make every thrill. It can steal your life, dominate your goal.
Okay, so as you can see, this can come up quite a bit. Now, hopefully this will not distort the audio for this video when I turn this up, maybe 3 dB. Let's try that. This is going to be a bit louder, folks, okay? So be ready.
Make a trouble and strife, seek another soul, this little paper deity.
Okay, I turned that down just a little bit in OBS, and hopefully that does mean that we're turning down my mic as well. So I'm going to talk just a little bit louder as well to kind of compensate for that. But hopefully that is better.
Make a trouble and strife, seek another soul, this little paper deity.
Okay, cool. So let's get into some EQ and compression and all that fun stuff. And then we'll get into kind of all of the other things you can do, the IRSC codes and everything else, and metadata and all of that. We'll get into that as well towards the end of our time here. We're about 15 minutes in. So let's go and have a look at the Pro EQ, because I want to be nice and transparent at this point. So let's get our Pro EQ in here. We'll turn that down. And we'll just have a listen again to around about the middle of this song.
Then rock, still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's crock? In God we trust, says on the bill. From boom to bust, may give a thrill. It can steal your life, dominate your goals. Make a trouble and strife, seek another soul, this little paper deity.
Okay, so I've scooped out just about 1.5 dB, about 1.5, and then I've just given it a little bit of air, kind of like about, again, 1.5 dB. Now, in mastering, you don't want to be doing lots of extreme moves because you are affecting the whole mix at this point. So anything that you do EQ-wise or compression-wise is going to affect everything. So sometimes I might go, hey, I want to brighten up the guitars a little bit. Well, I figure out where in the mix the guitars are, and then I will make a small adjustment, because I'm aware that if I'm going to make the guitars a little brighter, then other elements that are holding down the same area of the frequency spectrum are also going to get brightened or turned up a little bit. So there is a little bit of a trade-off that has to take place. And I was just aware that the upper mids were still just a little bit on the slightly harsher side. So I pulled them back a little bit. So let's just check what that sounds like, and we'll A-B.
Then rock, still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's crock?
Okay, without.
In God we trust, says on the bill. From boom to bust, may give a thrill. It can steal your life, dominate your goals.
Without.
Make a trouble and strife, seek another soul, this little paper deity.
Now this is going to be quite hard to hear over YouTube because of just the necessity of how YouTube works and the fact that it's coming down to you over your internet from a server in YouTube land. So some of these things are going to be hard to hear. If you are not hearing the difference between that scoop, that very, very tiny little scoop with like a teaspoon that we're doing in the in that kind of 1.5K area, don't worry. It's okay. If you can't hear it, it's okay. Hopefully by the time we've finished, some of this will be apparent to you and some of it may not. Now, as it happens, we have a really, really good mix. So we're not going to necessarily be doing too terribly much to master this mix. We're essentially just going to be fundamentally getting up to that kind of commercial, quote-unquote, level. Really is what we're going to be doing. We're not going to be doing a whole lot, I don't think, to shape the tone of this mix, because I think it's a good one. Now, if I was to get a darker mix, where there's a lot of low mid build up, maybe if I brought my 2016 mix into this, maybe I might be able to try and fix that as well. Maybe that I could do that as a different video. That could be quite good fun. Maybe for a Sunday Night Live, possibly. Okay, that's an idea. If you guys are into that as an idea, if you think that's a good one, then please do leave a comment below and tell me. Let me know if you think that's a great idea. If I was to remaster my 2016 mix and see if I can kind of get it to sound similar to my new 2019 mix. Might be a fun little exercise to try. So yeah, if I had a mix that is as dark as my 2016 mix, compared to what we have now, then yes, I might actually do a little bit more in terms of EQ to try and open up some of those low mids or suppress some of those low mids so that I can open up the upper end a little bit. So, but I don't think I need to do that here at all. I think maybe my only one thing I'm going to do is engage the slightest of slight high pass filters just to basically just tame the extreme sub lows just a little bit. Let's just see what that's like. Same spot.
Then rock, still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's cross? In God we trust, says on the bill. From boom to bust, may give a thrill. It can steal your life, dominate your goals, make a trouble and strife. Seek another soul, this little paper deity.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I'm happy with the EQ on this mix now. And I'm picking the middle of the song specifically because when you get to that last line, this little paper deity, there's quite a sudden build-up of kind of that 1.5 to 2.5k area, because you have my singing voice, which is just a little bit, I'm singing high, and then I've got the backing vocals also singing high, and then you've got the horns as well, and the crash cymbals, and the guitars, all kind of pushing up in that area. So that's kind of why I picked out this section of the song, because I know that that's where the upper mids can go a little bit harsh. So I've tamed them by that 1.5 dB, which means that they're not so harsh now, which is great. So I'm happy with that. So let's move on to some compression. And for this, we are going to go for the fat channel, and we're going to get our Brit comp going, because I like the sound of the Brit comp. So let's go find that guy. Here it is. We're going to engage it, and I'm going to pull that back to 100. We're going to keep it at 2 to 1. We'll pull the mic gain back to 0, and we're going to go for the same spot, and we're basically just looking just to basically barely touch this needle a little bit. That's all we want to do. Just tap the needle just occasionally, poke it up to about 1 dB, and we're good. And we'll bring up the makeup gain to compensate. But we're going to keep it at this kind of 30 millisecond attack and 100 millisecond release. Because that's kind of the classic SSL kind of sound, which I think this is what this guy is modeled off, the SSL G console bus compressor. So we'll make use of that. All right, here we go.
Then rock, still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's cross? In God we trust, says on the bill. From boom to bust, may give a thrill. It can steal your life, dominate your goals.
This is the key bit coming up that I want to look at.
Seek another soul, this little paper deity.
There we go. Perfect. That point there where it peaks up into that last line, I wanted to make sure that the compressor wasn't going crazy, which it isn't. It's not like, it's only going up to about 1.5 dB.
Make a trouble and strife, seek another soul, this little paper deity.
Perfect, and it just brings everything nice and glued together at that point as well, and it's nice and transparent, and you get a little bit of that that SSL style sound as well, which is nice. We like that. All right, so that's a bit of EQ and a little bit of compression. Next thing we're going to do, because this is a bit of a rough and ready master, this is basically just the process that I would go through. I hit the mic again. I keep doing that. Through this series, I've smashed my mic so many times. So, this is essentially my process that I go through, and I don't normally go through it at this kind of hectic, frenetic pace where it's done in 15 minutes. Sometimes it will be. Sometimes it'll take me a little bit longer. So let's go and get our limiter. and I've just realized there's something I need to address here, which I haven't done. You might notice that this bar for track 1 is pegged at 5 minutes, and our song finishes about 10 seconds earlier. What are we going to do about that? Well, what we can do is we can right-click this bar here, and I can say reset track markers to content. Boink. Perfect. Now it's in exactly the same spot. So just half a second after 4 minutes 50 is where this song now finishes. So if there was another song coming after it, there would be a 2-second gap, and then the next song would start. So that's that sorted. Perfect. All right, now let's go for the limiting. Now again, I need to just be aware of my levels of OBS here, because I don't want this to distort, because it would ruin the entire effect. All right, so we're going to turn this up a wee bit. And I'm going to keep the ceiling and the threshold at -1. The reason why I keep it there is to prevent any intersample peaking. What is intersample peaking, you may ask? Well, it's very simply peaking or clipping that takes place between the samples that the limiter is reading. So you can get distortion that happens, clipping distortion that happens between those peaks, but the limiter never registers them as a clip. Or, you know, the master output over here. This clip light doesn't go off, but you still get that crunchy, nasty, clipped, distorted sound. Digital clipped distortion sound. That's what would happen if you were to set this to kind of like there, sort of like negative 0.12. If you did it there, if you set the ceiling and the threshold to that, then there is the possibility that the limiting will pop over that threshold just a little bit and not be tapped down by the limiter, because it happens too quickly. It's between the samples, and that's where that would happen. So to prevent that from happening, this is where I set this guy to, come on, -1. I'm going to tap it in because it's being a pain. There we go, -1. So we're going to keep this at -1, and that just provides us with a little bit of safety in preventing that from happening. All right, so we're going to turn this up now, and we're going to get this up to that kind of 0 dB-ish area with a tiny, tiny little bit of gain reduction. Here we go. Here we go.
Make a trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity.
Now, as you can see there, when we got into that line, we got some gain reduction, about 1.5 dB. That might be a little bit much for me, so I've pulled this back a little bit. Let's listen to that again.
Make a trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity.
Okay, all of that is good. Hopefully that was not distorting for you guys. But see, at the loudest point there, a couple of those snare drum hits we popped over by -1 dB. We got 1 dB of gain reduction. That's fine. For mastering, that's pretty good. Anything more than 1.5, and I think I'm squashing it too much, in which case I would pull this input back a little bit more. But I think we're good. I think we're good at -1.05. That's fine. All right, so let's close that out. Okay, let's get into all of this stuff over here. So the album is going to be Paper Deity single. paper Deity brackets single, and the artist is me, Jonny Lipsham. And I can pull this down here, and this opens up this whole section here where you have the EAN details and the year, which would be 2019. And then I can put in the artwork here. Now I have to try and remember what folder the artwork is in. So if I click those three dots, this opens up, and I want to go to pictures. And I need to try and remember where it is. Let's have a look in this folder. See if I can find it. As you can see, I've got lots of thumbnails for all the videos that I do and have done quite a lot. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here, which is a little bit annoying. I thought it was in this folder. But it's not, but you get the idea. You can put a picture in here. It's not in here either, is it? No. But yeah, you can put whatever picture you have for your song, for your EP, for your album, whatever it might be. You can just go and grab a picture and you can put that in there. I'm going to cancel out from that for just now. So I can put the songwriter here is also me, which is perfect. So I want to put that in there. Genre, what would we call this? We'd call this jazz, would we? Jazz / rock, maybe. Yeah, I think that does it. And we'll call it that. Now, that's for the overall project details, okay? So if you're doing an album or an EP or anything with more than one song, this is where you put all the general stuff that is global for that project. And that goes in there. For individual song stuff, didn't want to do that. Where's the down arrow for that? No, that keeps opening. I don't want that. There we go. I was just missing the arrow a little bit. There we go. So now by default, the Jonny Lipsham Studios logo comes up for every song that I do. I don't know why that happens, but it just does. And we'll leave that as it is for now. And Jazz Rock 2019, Jonny Lipsham, all of that is all good. And this is for this individual song. So you could have a piece of artwork for each individual song on the EP, as well as having your cover for your EP, which would go in this section here. So that would be the cover for the whole EP, and then the one further down here would be the cover for the individual song. You can have all of that, and that would look awesome. That would look really great. Now, here's the thing with all of this stuff that you enter in here. You have the artist, the ISRC code for that particular song, and what that does is that helps you track sales and claim your royalties and all of that, as well as your sales monies, which you would definitely want to have, as well as your royalties, if you're entitled to the sales monies. So all of that helps with that. And then what you do when you do a digital release, or you send off a DDP image to one of those places where they do lots of duplications. So, they would put it onto the CD, or they'd press it to vinyl, or whatever release format it is. You send the DDP image that has all of the audio plus all of this information in the DDP file, and then they, at their end, they open that, and then that gets used. I don't know how they do it, but that gets used to burn the image to disk for the vinyl pressing, or to disk for the CD creation, and then that gets duplicated and off it goes. But if you're just doing a release to, say, SoundCloud, or to Bandcamp, or to Reverb Nation, or one of those, whatever they are, wherever it is online that you like to store your music, you would hit this guy over here. You'd hit the digital release button, and then you'd put the location in. You want it to be a WAV file. You want it to be 16-bit. The sample rate should be 44.1. And then you can have the add artist to file name, add track numbers to file name. You can do it all in real time, which you probably would want to do, so that you make sure that there are no dropouts and all of that kind of stuff. And you can also upload to SoundCloud here. There's an option to do that, or you can just do not publish, so that it doesn't get published to SoundCloud, and you can take that digital file, that MP3 or WAV file in this case, and you can put it wherever you want to put it. Okay, so that would be how you do that, and it takes a few minutes or a few seconds to do that, depending on whether you're using the real-time processing. And that pretty much, folks, is how you master a single song, and we've been going for 35 minutes here. So I want to say, folks, a very big thank you for sticking with me through this whole series. I hope you have found it useful, and I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you've had a blast mixing this if you have been mixing this. So here's what I'd like you to do now that we've got to the very end. I'm assuming that you are at the same point as I am and you're ready to master your song. Go ahead, master your song. Follow kind of the process that I've kind of laid out here in this video. And then when you've done your master, here's what I'd like you to do. I'm going to do a Sunday Night Live where I feature some of your mixes. If you would like your mix of Paper Deity to be featured in that Sunday Night Live show, I would like you to send me an MP3 of your master to my email address, which is johnny@jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. That's johnny@jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. Send that to me, and if you put as the subject, put something like My Paper Deity Final Master or something like that. And then what I'd like to do is I'd like to basically bring all of your masters into Studio One, and on the show I'll level match them all and we'll listen to them all. And it'd just be fun, maybe, to compare in a helpful and constructive way each other's different approaches to this song. If you're up for that, please do send me that email. Otherwise, I'm going to say a big thank you to all of you for being a part of this series, and I will see you all on another video very soon. Thanks a lot, folks. Take care and goodbye.
In God we trust, says on the bill, from boom to bust, may give a thrill, it can steal your life, dominate your goals, make a trouble and strife.